Misinformation online about what's happening on the ground in Israel and Gaza rampant.
We're not going to show you any of the propaganda. One video with millions of views appears to show Hamas shooting down an Israeli aircraft, but it was really a clip from a video game. You got to be kidding me.
No, we're not kidding
No.
you. The sad part of it all is it's working. Some in the West are falling for the propaganda and sympathizing with terrorists.
Here now, Heritage Foundation Tech Policy Center Director and former Facebook employee Kara Frederick, and Foundation for Defense of Policy's founder and president Cliff May. So, Kara, I want to come to you first. So it looks like social media wants to censor conservatives all the time. Whenever they have the opportunity to ramp down the reach of conservatives, they do it. But it seems like social media is not really taking any action with the propaganda that's being put out by Hamas. Explain.
Yeah, you're not wrong. This is a massive part of this misallocation of resources and a lack of proper prioritization, in my estimation, when it comes to these social media companies. I used to do counterterrorism analysis at Facebook, and now we've seen an explicit effort to redress what they've called the imbalance and a disproportionate bias toward Islamic extremism on the platform and target, frankly, conservative thought, what they call domestic extremism, misgendering. We look at climate change, that kind of thing. So they need to get their priorities straight. Foreign Islamist extremism is clearly alive and well, and they need to stop looking at conservative thought, dissident thought, heterodox thought, and get on this. This is why people like me left the intelligence community and went to work in these companies to confront ISIS back in 2014 and 2015. They should be going after these terrorists. This is money for them. This propaganda, it helps recruit. This is exactly why these counterterrorism analysis programs and teams exist, and they should get on it and stop targeting conservatives, frankly.
Cliff, now Hamas is starting to wage kind of a public relations campaign to make them look like they're just lovely individuals. And it was shocking, Cliff, to hear some of these protesters today completely just dismiss the savagery and carnage that the world is aware of. People saying, no. Babies weren't murdered. Families weren't burned alive. That's not true, despite Hamas putting it out on the internet.
Well, this is incredible. Absolutely, you're absolutely right, because you're right. Hamas did a lot of the videoing. They put it on the internet. They want people to see what they have done. I understand some people are going to be ignorant about these things, but people on campuses, what does that say about our campuses, that they don't know what evidence is and what it's not? Now, to control the kind of things we're talking about, it's not easy. Right. But beyond that, what we should also understand is that Iran and the Islamic Republic of Iran, not the people of Iran, the Islamic Republic, is very clever about using disinformation, about manipulating the media. And Ali Khamenei, who is the supreme leader of the Islamic Republic of Iran, he's still up on Twitter, even though he blocks his own people from being on Twitter. Also, the Russians, of course, as you know, they use bots, they use disinformation. The word we use is from the Russian, disinformatia. And it's going on right now. For example, the Russians have been putting out that Hamas is using weapons that they got from the Ukrainians in Israel. None of that's true. One other point I just want to make while I'm here. If people want the war to stop in Gaza right now, if they want the Israelis to back off, it would require exactly 2 words spoken by Hamas leaders. Those 2 words are, we surrender. That's all it would take.
Kara, Cliff just mentioned disinformation, which triggers me, maybe, if you will, because we've heard about disinformation for so long from the left and from the FBI and the Department of Justice. He's also talked about, propaganda. And again, I could live in a world where we're like, you know what, let's have a complete free speech world in which we live. But that is not the case. We've actually had our federal government shut down American speech, conservative speech, Republican speech. But again, not much action here, it appears, from our law enforcement to shut down this disinformation coming from these radicals.
Precisely. And there was a DHS bulletin in February of 2022 that said spreading misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation about the COVID pandemic was tantamount to terrorist activity. So again, we know what they're prioritizing, especially when the government, these agencies work hand in glove with these big tech companies to stifle, frankly, dissenting points of view or anything that goes against the narrative of the what this leftist Biden administration is propagating. So it's a massive problem. You're exactly right.
Kara and Cliff, thank you.